Welcome back to the Christian Music Bro podcast, where I dive into real conversations with the voices shaping music, culture, and faith. Today, I got a very special guest with us today, joining us, someone who's been in the heart of Christian rock community for over 2 decades. He's a former frontman of Thousand Foot Krutch. I don't know if you want to say former here, but oh well. He's a songwriter, a producer, a collaborator with some of the biggest names in the industry. Trevor McNevan is here today, and he has encouraged and
What's
inspired
up?
many countless listeners with his passion, creativity, and energy. Today, we are hanging out with him for a laid back conversation. So grab your coffee and turn up the volume, and let's welcome Trevor to the podcast. Trevor, thank you for joining us today.
Brandon, thanks for having me, man. Adam, what's up, dude? Guys, this is great, man. Appreciate it.
Woo.
And we also have Adam Casper here today. Adam, this is like what, your fourth or fifth time being on this podcast, maybe?
Yeah, man, I'm a Christian music bro, so it's my home. Got to come back.
You're one, you're one of the honorary ones. And then, so Trevor, how are you today, though? This is not about you, Adam, unfortunately, but it's great to have you
I want to
back.
know more about Adam. I'm good, bro. I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, I'm in my hometown of Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, and just in the studio currently working on a bunch of stuff, man. And yeah, just having my first coffee of the day. I've been up working for a bit, but this is the first time I've been talking to other humans today, so it's nice to nice to see you guys. Cheers.
It's always good to have coffee. So you're from Canada. Canada, is it coffee crazy like everyone says it is? I hear there's a lot of like coffee shops in Canada. Not as many as
We
Nashville, but I heard there's a lot.
yeah. You know what, Nashville, well, I mean, we have lots of great, yeah, for sure. Lots of coffee lovers are it's funny though, Nashville's got a lot of cool like I don't know, like Seattle has lots of cool coffee shops. Probably the most popular one in Canada, like stereotypically, is Tim Hortons, which is like this
Hmm.
a retired NHL player that opened a chain of coffee shops. So it's like, yeah, that's like it's kind of like just some good old drip coffee, man. And I'm not picky, I like the quote unquote good stuff, and I like the like whatever's in my cup stuff. So it's
Awesome.
all
So
good.
exciting.
You ever venture out into the energy drink territory?
I have for sure. Yeah, don't do this at home, kids. Yeah, I for sure. We used to do a ton of flying, man. And when, on those days when we had like 14-hour commute, and then you'd get there, do a bunch of press and work stuff, and then we didn't play till like 10 p.m. at night. And you're like feel like you're almost out of gas, but you got to turn it on. I used to rock some 5-hour energies for sure
Oh,
before
nice.
some of those shows. And yeah, well, Monster also was like, and Rockstar, I guess, were like sponsors of a bunch of the tours and some festivals. So that was a pretty common beverage to be around. And yeah, I definitely have flirted with those. I
Well,
try I
at
try
least
not to as much as possible, but
sure. At least you guys had the waters though too, right? That would be a pretty common thing. The monster waters, the tour water.
yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah. It's funny, man, because backstage, uh, you know, contrary to popular belief these days, and for quite a while, man, it's been like water, it's all healthy, like tea, and everybody's just chilling and being healthy and that sort of thing. So yeah, we try to stay away from the energy drinks, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. They've been in there.
I'm not a big one for the energy drinks, but we're not going to here talk about coffee, tea, energy drinks. We're here to talk about Trevor. But we just
Right.
like to just talk about random. That's how these kind of conversations go. But you've been doing music for over 2 decades now. Can you tell us a little bit about your musical influences while you were growing up? So, like, what inspired you to get into music?
Yeah, man. Man, 2 decades. That sounds crazy. It feels like, in my head, I still feel 16. Yeah, I started the band TFK like when I was 17, and previously, I guess I kind of got into music, man, just organically through my dad used to have vinyl, like just old vinyl of like
Mhm.
classic rock, and they bought me, I think the first person like piece of music that I owned was like Michael Jackson Thriller, and it was just like one of the best albums of all time. And so my little kid brain was just blown, and I would sit there and just memorize the entire thing. And I just that's my first music like memory, as far as like influences go, and just how powerful that music was, man. And then I think so we had a classic rock station in our hometown called The Wolf, 101.5. And so that was like our main radio station. So that's always happening, and influencing wherever you go, they would have it on. And then I got sucked in by hip hop like a million percent, dude. And I didn't mind like the radio hip hop. It was cool, it was fun. I used to love the dance and all that stuff. But like, I'm talking like I got pulled into like the real deal, like early 90s, just hip hop scene, man. It just felt like this was my people and this was music that understood me. And I don't know. I was such a kid and I grew up in a good home and good neighborhood and all those things. I just mean this music, dude, was just everything about it was just sucked me in. And so everywhere I went, I used to have a couple paper routes. I always had a job at from an early age. And I would have my headphones on and just be cruising around, just cranking this stuff and like consuming it and studying the beats and the kicks and the snares and the rhyme patterns of all these guys. And it kind of went through different phases of early hip hop being there's a lot of different identities in it, and some of it was like super tongue twistery fast stuff. And when I was a kid, that used to just be like, whoa. So I would sit there and like chat along with it and uh, was into really quick hip hop. So I did my first record when I was 13 and it was called The Boogeyman and it was all like super quick hip hop. And then I did a record when I was 16 called Oddball. And it was just me and using like McDonald's shifts to pay for this stuff. And it was like half rock and a whole bunch of kinds of music, like pop rock and like maybe a little acoustic singer-songwriter stuff. And then the second half was all hip hop. And then, yeah, ultimately started my band when I was 17 here in Peterborough. So it's been quite a journey, man. Man, that doesn't feel that long ago, but it was.
That's always great. And it's cool. I was watching an interview that Adam and I were both watching your other interview. I don't remember who the exact Adam. What was the name of the guy again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I feel so bad. We'll make sure to link him in the description. I forgot the name of the podcast, but give credit where it's due. That 2 hour interview that you did. He was a fellow Canadian, right?
Yeah. Joel.
Yeah,
Or
Joel.
Joel,
There we
sorry.
go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, that was such a
I couldn't think
great,
of a Joseph Joe.
such a great
Yeah.
interview, and yeah, definitely go check that out for sure.
Yeah, he was
and
great, dude, for sure.
and in that interview, he brought up Oddball album. He brought up we're also friends with the drummer of 3 Days Grace, Neil Sanderson. So that was really cool and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Yeah, just hometown guy and super talented and good friend. And yeah, man, love those
What
dudes for sure. They were always like our
was
favorite rock band.
was he a big part of Thousand Foot Krutch starting and the process of how the band would get together and start doing rehearsals and stuff like that?
No, he had previously to 3 Days Grace, they were called Groundswell, and they
Okay,
always had their own band. I think it was like five of them back then, but it was still Adam and Neil and Brad. And yeah, no, they had their own band, man. And as far as like the rock stuff goes, they were always, our favorite local band. And so I actually was managing and booking and all that stuff at TFK, like doing all that for our band. And so I would book them as our opening act at like every show we played around, around
nice,
locally
nice.
because they were just amazing. But yeah, no, he's been a good bud, man, and we both kind of come up in the scene together in different ways. And he's obviously, man, he's killing and still cheering him on, man. It's awesome.
it's really cool today because like you saw like a big. I don't know if you say like 3 Days Grace really took a break. Like you guys kind of you're on like you took a hiatus with Thousand Foot Krutch. They kind of took like a smaller break. Then they just released a new album this year as well. So it's just really cool to see everyone coming back in the scene and just rocking it out like 5, 10 years later.
Yeah,
There's
dude.
some
No,
sort of
thanks, man.
awakening happening.
Maybe there is, man. Maybe there is. There is lots of. You're right. There's lots of cool bands that it's been a minute that we haven't heard from that seem to be kind of coming back with stuff. It is cool. As a music fan, it's just cool to see for sure, man. Letting down different friends and stuff.
And,
Specifically in the Christian like music world too, that like we had Cutlass coming back, Pillar coming back,
Yeah, dude.
and even though it was a lot of the feature vocalist audios and everything from The End Is Where We Begin, being able to see Thousand Foot Crutch in Release Radar, man, is just like so cool. We live in a new age now where Release
Right.
Radar is where a lot of people are seeing new music, and so to
For
be
real.
able to see like my favorite band growing up, in release radar, on radio stations, on the Spotify playlist and all that stuff as new music. Like it's just really cool.
Dude, thank you so much, man. That's really cool. That means a lot for sure.
And the question I have is, what was the turning point from like being a local band and to being to like a big international band? How was the big turning point, like from being just performing these local shows in Canada to going to like big arena shows, festivals, tours, and all that? What was like the turning point
Yeah.
in your career at that time?
It's man, it was like it was such a process, dude. We were one of those bands, like a lot of rock bands, but we kind of were like that little train who was just like, I think I can, I think I can. We were like inching up at all times. Like we were blessed to not like have any of these, moments, but it was
Mhm.
like just very, very slow and like consistent process, I think. And one thing, I guess, I would say just, yeah, overall, just from the heart and vision of kind of where this band started to is the same heart and vision, that I still maintain to this day and we maintain. And it's, that hasn't changed. And I think the consistency of just caring about what we feel like is great music. Like I can't, I can't control that for anyone else. I'm just but caring about the music and caring about the heart and why we do it and just what's being said and being honest and then sort of authentic with that has always been what this band is about, man. And so and caring about the musicianship and just the craft. And so it's been that part has always been consistent, and God's really blessed that, man. It's been cool. I mean, yeah, we worked so so hard. I mean, harder than you could describe, but it was incredible though, man. It was a journey. It was like you one day, you're scrounging to try to like just call I used to call everyone I know, be like, dude, we're playing Thursday night. What are you doing? And just like tell your friends, tell everybody, I don't invite your mom, who cares? And just like everybody. And then maybe it would go from like 10 to 20 to like ultimately like 100 people was like, wow, this is insane. 100 people came to this show. And then then it within I don't know how long the span was, but probably like 6 months to a year of just gunning it and playing every show we could on like every back porch and like prom to like opening for any band that came to town type stuff, or local stuff. There was this one venue we loved called the Gordon Best Theater, and that's still my favorite venue to this day. Like it's so intimate and small, and like it's here in Peterborough, and we used to I think the cap on that room is like 350 people, and we would eventually, yeah, in that time ended up selling it out, and just that became our home spot where we would just pack. I think we ended up packing like far beyond the fire code into that place, but it would be 3 days in us and uh whoever, lots of friends in local bands that would play, and that was our thing. And then it slowly kind of we were able to go across Ontario, our province, and Canada. And then long story short, a lot of Canadian bands just you don't aren't fortunate enough to kind of cross the border, man. And just the
Mm.
incredible music, incredible bands that we grew up with as Canadians that a lot of American friends don't even know about. And that was something we were very fortunate to be able to be accepted and cross that border where kind of music lives globally, on a grand
Mhm.
scale, and be embraced. And ended up, we would drive if we got an American show, we would drive like 30 hours to play one show. We'd be like, all right, let's go. We hop in the van, just say yes. And we like it was hilarious. Those are the days where you're playing for like gas money if you're lucky, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so whatever it takes. But then yeah, through the years, man, it was always about connecting with the audience, man, and sharing stories and hearing their hearts and staying till everyone was gone. And that was my favorite stuff. I love music beyond words, but that to this day is still my favorite thing about getting a chance to do this, man, and being a small part of just what God does through music. And um so all that to say that staying consistent with that, and just trying our best to love people well, and meeting lots of great people and lots of great bands. We always felt like I always felt like this, we were called to have an outreach heart just to make music for everyone. And we've always been Christians and love Jesus, man, and love people and love music. And but it's never been about, trying to force anything on anyone. My heart was that if I'm honest about this and just share it from my point of view and how life hits me and the people I meet and experiences and things that, maybe that can help someone else. And so we've always loved everyone for who they are and what they believe in, and vice versa, man. We've been pretty blessed in that sense, have lots of friends that believe different stuff, and maybe, whatever, man, we make different vibes in our music, but we all love each other and can hug it out and appreciate what each other does. And it's always been more about the impact.
And it's
It's awesome, man. Yeah.
that's really
Thanks,
awesome to
man.
hear. And like you also brought that Canadian, like Canadian border. Like you're not the only like at the same time like Hawk Nelson was emerging from the Canadian border, so it's just pretty cool. Like how a lot of what the how I say it, the cornerstones, right? Say, like modern day Christian rock came from Canada. There was you guys, and there was Hawk Nelson and everything as well.
Yeah, dude, those guys went to they're like little brothers to me, man. I'm still loving those dudes. They're amazing and good friends with them. But they were like in the Sunday school and like youth group at our church, and they were
That's
this
so
band
cool.
called Swish. And then yeah, we ended up, they had asked if I could help them with some stuff, and so we ended up working together and just yeah, they're awesome, man.
As a young Adam, it's so crazy. Now there's a word for it. It's the lore, like it's the lore. Seeing, oh, Trevor McNeaven's in the California music video, like what? And then finding out that you like were helping with writing on some of the stuff and that you guys had a close relationship, like all that's so cool to know that there's a family, that there's actual
Totally.
relationships that have been built through the industry and through the music.
Absolutely, man. That's so funny too, because it's that stuff you never think about along the way. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, along the way, it kind of creates itself, and it's a funny thing. Like I can appreciate that just as a music fan in general too, man. Watching and
Yeah.
appreciating other bands, and thanks, dude. Yeah, those guys are awesome, man. That was a really fun time.
Yeah, and like you have other collaborations, not just with like Hawk Nelson, but you had collaborations with like artists like Manifest, KJ52. How did this come about? Like you from like it's not because you're from Canada, but it's just like cool that like you got in touch with everyone and everything. Like how did like you get in touch with like, some guys like KJ52 and Manifest?
Man, KJ, I haven't heard that name in a long time, dude. He's awesome, dude. He was one of the dudes that like we just connected early on, like early on. I think before either of us, it felt like anyways, before we even had any sort of record deals or anything. I think I met him in Nashville at maybe the gospel, like GMAs or something like that. And we
Mhm.
just connected as guys who loved hip hop. That's all. I didn't know anything about his career and he didn't know anything about my band. And yeah, we just kind of became friends. And then he really did his thing in early Christian hip hop, and we were doing our thing. And so we just kind of maintained friendship. And yeah, man, that was so long ago. Yeah, he asked Rob from Pillar, I think, to be on that song as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And those guys were obviously in the scene for a long time, and lots of great bands, man, along the way, and fun dudes and relationships. And so it's like fun. That was always on both sides of mainstream and Christian music. It's like the festival season was like when we all got to kind of see each other here and there, and catch up a little bit, and like summer camp for bands.
Yeah, yeah. He's a lot like you in that I feel like he has to write. He has to rap. He's done like freestyle Fridays and stuff with Instagram, and stuff, and like he's still going. I'm sure for you
Yeah.
it's been similar with knowing that you've got songs that are ready to release, knowing that you've done collaborations and writing with other people. Like, writing seems to be like one of the you see it seems like you see it as a craft, a craft to continue to grow in. And
Yeah,
when
absolutely, man.
maybe like when did that start? Like when did you start feeling like, oh, writing is like a thing, like writing is a skill that I can like start learning and getting better at? Like at
Yeah.
what point in all of your music history did you start feeling that way about it?
I feel like it's a good question, man. Yeah, no, the songwriting part of this was something I think I discovered that I really enjoy, and something that was just in me. Um, from I think probably I would say, I mean, as far as writing my own music and stuff, I think I realized that around like 13 years old or so, because I would sit there and just write and write. And I loved that. And so I mean, I think I identified that I enjoyed doing that pretty early. But as far as just songwriting in general and just chasing a great song kind of in any genre of music, maybe not even one that I was putting out myself, um, or just for me sort of thing, was it was probably that Oddball record, man, was probably that was a real eye opener for me, I think, because I had the freedom. I mean, and you're so green, right? I didn't know anything about I felt called to music, but I knew nothing about how to do this, and I knew nobody in music or just like anything. So you just are inspired, and so you just do stuff, and which is like
Hmm.
the best place to be. And so I remember being like, yeah, motivated to. I loved bands like Weezer, and but I also loved bands like Deftones, and was all over the place. And so or Toby Mac or whoever, and so like I would start writing a song that felt like this. And I was like, wow, man, this really doesn't feel like this, but I feel the same excitement about it. So I'm just gonna do it, and we
Yeah.
would do this and then that. And so that was like, I think the first time that I just had fun, like flushing out a bunch of what I felt like was inside. And for better or for worse, I learned a lot on that one of being like, oh, that one wasn't even good. Maybe I shouldn't have put it on there. But so through time, you learn how to flesh those things out obviously better. And I ended up songwriting full time outside of being an artist myself, really the last like 25 years, man. And Hawk Nelson was a big part of as well of just kind of honing that craft a bit and getting a chance to just write with and for someone else, so to help them say what they want to say and be the best version of them, as opposed to like writing something that you're representing or saying or singing is a much different thing. And I really enjoyed it, man. I loved it. So I just kind of kept doing it.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's been a really cool thing, man, for sure.
And with many songwriting, like you've been in songwriting for over like 20 years, has there ever been a lyric that you wrote back when you first started songwriting that has spoke back to you now in today's life, like in a new way?
That's a really cool question. So on a just total God level, to give him the glory, man. So like probably this might have been like 5, 6 ish, maybe longer than that years ago. And I remember my wife called me once. I was I was out working, traveling somewhere, doing something, and I was going through some stuff. And I remember her calling and being like, "Hey, I was just driving with the kids, and they threw on one of your old records, and I think it was the Flame in All of Us record." And
Hmm.
she was like, "I'm listening to this stuff just as the kids are playing it, and the lyrics to this stuff, like to these songs in particular, she said, I feel like this is for you. This is
Hmm.
for you right now." And so on a cool like Holy Spirit level, man, it was really dope to be, I guess, just the benefit and blessing of when I sit down to write, being like, all right, God, this is bigger than me, man. So, what do you want to say and how do you want to say it? Is that this many years later, um, proof that it's not just me writing stuff in a room by myself, is that those same lyrics can speak to me and help me in my life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was a pretty, it's not that if you would have asked me that back then, I would have been like, yeah, I think that's possible. But that's just the first time that I think I realized that it
Hmm.
myself, that wow, this was something I needed to hear today. And yeah, God used some of the same words to bless me and help me with some stuff, man. It was really cool.
We're told in the Bible multiple times, like, remember the faith of your youth, or like remember from where you started and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
bro.
I think as like a music writer, when you've learned lessons and you put it into a song, like it's just such a moving and convenient way to like always bring it back, and God
Yeah,
uses that to remind you of like, hey, this is where your heart was then, and if
yeah,
things have changed, like notice what those changes are, and
absolutely,
yeah.
man. For sure. No, you're absolutely right, dude. It's cool. Music is such a powerful vehicle that way, I think, to all of us, in different ways and capacities. But it's everything from like a soundtrack to life to like a therapist, mentally, spiritually, all of those ways some days. And then all just classically, like so a lot of times gives us words to the emotions we feel that we might not have, at that time. So does the same thing for me, man. And doesn't stop blowing my mind. That's for sure.
And it's very cool you brought up the Flame in All of Us record. As you can see, I have it behind me actually. So,
Yeah, cheers.
Boom.
but that was like really the first album that I discovered Thousand Foot Krutch personally. Then the one I dove into a lot though is the end is where we begin. So like towards the middle of the years. My
Right
fun
on, man.
fact: I just celebrated the 30th of the podcast. So thank you for whoever is watching this and been here for the full 3 years that I've been doing this podcast. But
Congrats,
my fourth,
man.
thank you. My fourth ever episode. My former co-host Brandon and I, who we're still very good friends today, we did a deep dive into the album. The end is where we begin and everything. So like we
No
went
way.
track by track talking about songs. So if you're new
Dude,
to
I
the
gotta go back
channel,
and hear that. Right on.
yeah, it was like our fourth episode ever, and now this is like episode 130. So it's kind of like a big full circle moment.
So cool, dude. Wow. I'm gonna check that out. That's really cool.
I know there's different
And
artists that will write music, and obviously you've gone back to some of the stuff that you've listened to or that you've written. When you are writing new music, is it something that you want people to discover the Lord, want people to get the hints of the things that maybe you might be going through, or is it just kind of like, hey, I'm just writing it and I'm gonna leave it there, and then if somebody picks it up, cool. If not, no, know where I needed this, and so I'm just gonna put it out
Right.
there. Where do you land with stuff like that?
Yeah, man. Well, I think the way that I tend to look at that is it's kind of just like life. There are it's not that your heart or your mission statement changes, but you have days when you hit the mark and you have days when you don't. You know what I mean? And we're in the same way that I'm imperfect and don't have all the answers. My heart will always be the same in wanting to share hope and yeah, ultimately, my the hope in my life in the darkest seasons, in the best moments, and all of the things along the way. It's like the stuff that's behind closed doors, the stuff that nobody knows about, good or bad, that has happened to you or that you go through or that you've done. It's those are those are things that God's walked with me through and been with me in. I've realized along the way, regardless of how well I was doing or how imperfect I was, or so I my heart is always to share that, like, man, my hope was found in Christ, like Jesus changed my life and he still continues to change my life. And this amazing book called the Bible isn't just this cool old book, it's like that, it's still every bit as much true today. And even cooler than that, it's like this book is literally alive. It's like it can speak to me the same word I've read maybe 1,000 times or heard in the past. Today, if I let it, can speak to me in a way that changes everything. And
Yeah.
that's just what I know and believe is the Holy Spirit. But so yeah, man, I mean, my heart is to share that with anyone who wants to hear it, because in my life it's the truth, and I believe it is the truth, and that's my faith is my lifestyle, and that's always been the way it is. With our band, it's not like a name tag or like a genre of music, and um that said, it's like, I think there are things, if I could sum it all up in one sentence, I would say this. I think that I would love to see Christian artists kind of, well, I'm not gonna say it that way. I would love to see, as believers, us just, we can help and share the heart that we have more, and more importantly, be an example of God's heart, I think, better. And I can, if I share my imperfections, man. If I say,
Mm.
if I there are those days when I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to say this right, or today this is what I'm going through and this is just real talk, and I feel to share it. It might help someone else. And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, every day, that the heart and the mission doesn't change, but like, as far as like connecting with people in music, it's not something that's forceful by any means. I think that God is way bigger than music. He created it, and my heart is just that impact would happen through music and through to the people who need to hear it, exactly where they're at, where all of
Yeah.
us are at. And um yeah, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but like, basically,
Okay.
yeah, I think, oh, what I was going to say, if I said it in like a sentence, man, where I'm at today and what I'd like to represent in musically and just as a man and as a father and everything, is just like, man, I love Jesus so much, and I struggle, and I have struggles, not with Jesus, with life. I have
Mm.
struggles just like everybody else. And but I love Jesus so much, and I love people, and I love music, and it's all gonna pour into this. The honesty of being like, yeah, man, no, I don't have it all figured out. I struggle with some of the same stuff. And you know what? That's okay. God loves me and he loves you, and we're gonna move forward and help each other out. And if the more we bring those things to the light and be like, yeah, despite what someone might think or the platform we can be put on, we're not perfect. Gosh,
Yeah.
no, man, we're all
Yeah.
in it. We all face the same sort of stuff, and let's just be real about it. I think it's okay to say I love Jesus and I still struggle sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's I think that's God's heart as well, is to just meet us where we're at. He says that he's the strength in our weakness, man. And so um, I believe that to be true. And if I never share weakness, then I'm not. I'm kind of like telling half the story, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And
Absolutely.
absolutely. And even we all have our struggles. We all fight our own battles. A lot of fans say they help, or your music has helped them through like hard times. Do you have like a real personal story, or not like personal story, but a story from a fan that like has stuck out to you, like with their struggles? Because there's a lot of comments like on YouTube. If you go for YouTube, like just watching the music videos, or even like your interviews, there's a lot of people saying your music changed or inspired me. Do you have any fun?
Man.
Well, I don't know if think fun's a word for it. I'm sorry. I just like to say fun because I
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
have fun. But
Sure.
like any personal stories that made an impact on you as like a person you are today.
Man, absolutely. Like there's so many, man, to be honest. It's hard to just like pinpoint one, but in general, I mean, there's been the ones that they all rock you, man. I think you appreciate people's bravery and just sharing these things, and then you and then part of you is like, man, thank you, that's incredible. But my heart is also to redirect that and be like, man, that's God stuff, man. We're this vehicle that gets to be a part of this, but what God does through that is so much more powerful. And so the moments where someone is contemplating taking their life, and on the radio comes a song and God speaks to them through a lyric that well we're sleeping, or we're well, other million other things are going on in life, the Lord speaks to this person and saves their life in that moment, and or heals a marriage through a situation it's going through, or just like someone really struggling with like crippling depression or anxiety, or you know, all things that, I've been through my own version of a lot of those things, man. And so those are the moments where you see God move, and people share those things, and it's just like, wow, so humbling, and also just incredible, and reminds you that, like, it's inspiring, man, because it reminds you that he's every bit as alive today as he was then, and music speaks to me the same way and heals me the same way. Like, so I love it, man. It's hard to be like a specific story. There's there's just so many, but though, that sort of thing to me, when someone's life takes a different direction, when they're about to pull that from themselves, is man, I don't know, that gets bigger than that.
Yeah.
Right. And I just want to put a sidebar here. Just whoever's watching this, if you are struggling, there's people here to help you. You're not alone. I just want to throw that message out. I know it sounds, I feel like the most cliche message is you're not alone, but there are people there for you and always talk to.
True. Big time, man.
Got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Got to talk
Yeah,
about it.
man.
You got to talk about it. But as a lot of fans, back into our normal conversation. Sorry about the
Yeah.
sidebar, but as we
Yeah,
all know
it's
that
good.
TFK, or most of you know, TFK is on a hiatus right now, and you've been working on new music under your name T Rock, and it's going to be an album called Sound of Awakening. Can you talk a little bit about how it is writing that writing progress has been?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely,
not
man.
progress.
Yeah. No, it's so, man, honestly, this started as a um just as something I was doing for myself. I was, at this season, I've been on the road, and same with the guys, with Steve and Joel. I mean, since we were kids, man, you know what I mean? Basically, like, we've been on the road our whole lives, and on and off. And so we'd never taken a break, and it's been this incredible journey, and it's been such a blessing, and he has taken us around the globe. But then, when I came off the road, so yeah, with that, at one point when felt to set the band down, and the guys and I did that, it was like I started. just realizing that, like, just as a man and as a person, like, I need some maintenance. I've never pulled off the highway to get maintenance of any sort, other than like staying in God's word. And there's good teaching you try to stay on top of and be intentional and have amazing people in my life for that as well. But I just mean, like, just as a man, like, forget music and forget what I do, so to speak, just as a person. Had never really stopped, and the Lord kind of just showed me, yeah, man, there's lots of areas of my life where I needed some healing from some emotional pain, which is a word I didn't even know existed, and self-care, things like that. I mean, I didn't even know anything about that. And so, um, all that said, um, yeah, was blessed in this season to meet some people that have been like life changing, man, just teaching me some stuff about how to heal from emotional pain and how God can help us do that and how to identify it. And from stuff from stuff you've been through, stuff that people have, uh, all of the things. And I'd never talked about or really dealt with any of those things. So coming through that, I started writing some music that I just needed to write. I needed to pour it. That's my outlet that I've learned in this season, not being on the road and not doing it all the time as TFK. That it's a part of me that I need to make music. It's not just something I choose to do. It's like I need to do this, or I feel crazy. It affects everything. And so I so I started doing that, and I would sing the song and like record it. I mean, in the moment I was feeling that thing, which is never I've never got to do that before. For the most part, it's always been right while you're on the road, or when I'm home in the studio, I'd write a ton, then record it all in this clump, and then move on and rinse and repeat. So this time I got to spend time just doing those things and capturing those moments. And it felt like about halfway through, man, I felt like the Lord said, this is something I'm supposed to share with others, that might be able to relate to some of these things. So it has become this album that's called The Sound of Awakening. And man, I feel so blessed to, you know, this music to me, man, I think I've said this once or twice before, but I really mean it, dude. It's like, I think it's some of the best music I've ever been blessed to be a part of, man. And I'm just so excited about it. It's very honest, but it's also the music I've been wanting to make, and stylistically, and I think for TFK fans, and for for FF Static fans too, at some stuff, it all flows in, but for TFK fans in particular, and the TFK army, I mean, this is, as a music fan and as someone who's been the visionary for that my whole life, this is the album that I would love to share with you. And I think this portal of just I look at it as a portal, but just under T-Rock from here on out, all the music that I create is just going to come through this. And I'm just, yeah, there's no fences, man. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be about impact and just getting to make the music that I feel to make and I'm inspired to make. And so with this particular album, it's very in the genre of TFK, but also like what some things that I've been wanting to do in that space for a while. And so it's fresh, but it's also like tips its hat back to the beginning and at each step along the way, I feel like. And then in the future, man, yeah, don't be surprised. There might be just like, bam, there's going to be a pop rock song that pops out, and then this, and then so it's going to be really fun, man. I'm really excited, and yeah, I hope you dig this record. But more importantly, like, I'm excited to release it just for whoever needs to hear it, man. And
Was it a
whoever's
was it a
Adam,
difficult
one second.
decision to get that sound dialed in to what you wanted it to be? Because like, and over the course of your career, hip hop, we could get into I Am the Storm if you want to get into that, because that was
Mm,
so cool to be able to hear that project. But you've been able to do hip hop,
thanks, man.
FM Static. You've been able to do rock, little bit of screaming in there. After Born This Way, I reckon you probably could go country if you wanted to. Like, honestly, you're a man of many talents and can write so well in all these different genres. Um,
Oh, thanks,
was
man.
it difficult to be like, all right, I can't do them all, maybe for other artists or maybe features and stuff, but like, all right, if I'm coming back under my name, this is the sound that it's going to be. What were kind of your thoughts in that, and where you landed with that?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. No, I think it's been, inspiration. for me, I've always had the same interests in music. I mean, I deal at the core of it all. I love a great song. And that song that makes you feel something to me is a great song. And so. And then on top of that, the craft and this, the musicianship and all of those things. But the heart of it is like a good song, I feel like should make us feel something. And so uh, I felt really inspired every second of this album, and it felt like the music I was supposed to be making. And it
Mm.
checks all of the boxes for me. So it wasn't really a conscious decision of like, okay, this needs to sound like this. It was never that. It was like very free and very much the way that I wrote the TFK records, to be honest. It was like
Mm.
it flowed and it felt organic and it felt like a body of like a consistency to it, but also lots of dynamics. And there's um some elements to this that I never got to really explore with TFK and from like some collaborations, which we never really did with TFK, and not for any reason, just never really did. And so getting to do some of that and explore that in music has been a blast. Yeah, with some friends, and then also just um, yeah, being inspired forward, man. The more I dig into music and different sides to it, and all of these things, that there's some freshness to what's been there and what has been TFK in this music too. That's been really exciting for me, and um, it checks my really like heavy boxes for guilty pleasure of heavy music, but also checks my hip hop boxes and checks my like melodic sensibility is really important to me, and just really catchy stuff. And so it checks all of those for me, man. And um little like teaser for what it's worth, and this is just felt like what it should be, is although it's not officially a TFK record, because I felt to put it out under T-Rock, it's like it is it does in my mind as a songwriter, and it picks up where the end is where we begin left off.
Mm.
So that's all I can tell you right now. But
All right.
And I'm glad you said it's not a TFK record, because there was some confusion with another interview on the social media saying TFK is coming back, and it like blew up like a storm, like saying like you guys are reuniting and everything. I don't know if you saw the post, but like there's like a big
yeah,
confusion. Like I'm in like Christian rock groups, I'm in like rock music groups, and they're reuniting. I'm like, I don't think that's the case, but
no,
Can I
it's
just
not.
say too, like
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick, a big, huge apology for like the bulk of the Christian music community. I honestly felt really bad. I do a reaction channel, so I've reacted to a lot of
Cool.
the new stuff that both in the TFK songs that have released and some of your new songs with Judge and Jury, and
Oh, nice, dude.
Unparalyzed was awesome, all that stuff. And like I I dude, I felt so bad for the people who are like, we want TFK to come back, and these aren't new songs, and like what's going on, and like
Right.
they're the lack of gratitude. Oh, we should always have gratitude, and I feel like you don't owe anybody anything. It's a grace and a blessing that you are sharing the things that you've gone through with all of us. So I just wanted to give an apology for any of that
Oh, bro.
negative feedback that you might have seen or
Oh, man.
experience and stuff. Because
That's very kind of you, man. I appreciate your heart, dude. Big time. No, you know what? I don't let any of that stuff get to me, man. I, you know, Steve and Joel are incredible musicians and great dudes. And this is something, I feel like I'm doing all the same stuff that I've always done. So it doesn't feel different to me, but yeah, it's under the name T-Rock instead. That felt like what it needed to be for me from here on out. And um, it's, it's one of those things to me for people who've been looking for new TFK music. I mean, th- I would say as a music fan and as me, just that, yeah, check this out. I think this is going to check your boxes. And more importantly, I'm just excited to share it. It is a continuation for me of what I've been doing more than it is like a solo record or like Trev wants to
right.
do a
mm,
jazz record or something weird. It's like, no, man, this is like this isn't like some obscure itch
did
that
we
I
hear that
had.
right? There's a jazz. Just kidding.
Yeah, wait, you're like, quote. No, man, to me, 100% T-Rock is just a continuation of what I've already been doing, and a continuation of the same heart and mission, and in most ways, musical genres and styles and all the stuff that anyone who's been walking with the band at any point, or walking with us on this journey in the TFK Army. Yeah, this is a continuation of that. And so there's no, I'm not here to be like this, this is officially the new TFK record. Like, no, man, I want to honor this in a lot of sense, in a lot of the boxes and ways and stuff. Like, yeah, it absolutely could be. But I'm not here to say that it is. I'm just here to say this is what I'm doing from here on out, and it is a continuation of that. And check it out. I hope you like it and spread the word, man. And I would love and be honored if the TFK Army would continue to walk this journey with me. And I don't control that, and so it's in God's hands. And I love all you guys, man, and everybody who's walked with us and supported Steve and Joe and I. And I'm excited to see what God's got in store and keep being a vessel for that, man.
I'll be definitely sharing it when it comes out and sharing
Oh, thanks,
even the
bro.
singles when they drop and everything.
Thank you
And
so
Adam,
much, man.
Adam, I know you're a big rockhead, so you're probably listening to it a lot too when it comes out, like the minute it comes out.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's gonna be in my I'm gonna title my. It's already included a bunch of your features and stuff. I have a TFK workout playlist, and so it's got all my favorite
Oh,
TFK
bro.
songs. So it's
Nice.
already got a lot of features in it already. So it's just I can turn it into the T Rock playlist. We'll make it the T Rock workout playlist.
All good.
There.
All good. Right on, dude. That's amazing. Love it.
And what's one thing about you that your fans or music fans in general wouldn't know about you that would be like surprised to know about you?
Let me think. Jeez. That my kids are way cooler than me. I have a 9 and a 12-year-old, and they're just so awesome, man. I love them so much. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to think. I mean, one weird thing is that, well, yeah, I guess a couple things that come to mind. Something I don't talk about a whole lot, and I've just kind of started to a little, and because whenever I mention it, then I find out and learn more about it. Is that for the longest time I never said anything about this, but I think it's called synesthesia. But I guess I have this thing because my whole life I've seen music in colors. I've just always seen them in colors, and when I'm creating, when I'm listening, and I just thought that was normal, until you start to talk about it and you're like, everybody's like, what are you talking about, dude? And so for the longest time, I always kept it to myself. And then, it was the funniest thing when I was watching this, the next time I heard anything about that, I was watching whatever that Pharrell Lego movie is called. Is it Brick by Brick or
I think it's
one
piece by piece or something like
Piece
that.
by Piece? Yes. Loved it. Anyways, in that he's talking about how he sees music in colors. And I was like, whoa, okay. And started to learn a little bit more about it. And so that's something that not everybody might know. One other geeky weird thing my kids make fun of me for is that I'm such a word guy. Like, I think that's part of why on a just skill and craft level, I appreciate someone like Eminem because I've always been such a word nut. I love them. I don't know, from way back in school till now. So I play these little word games on my phone when I'm trying to shut my brain off. And I think I think the last time I checked, I was like #1 in the world on this little word game, which is so hilarious. And I wouldn't tell many people, but it's like this spelling game where you just spell like bazillion words out of a certain amount of letters. And so there's that.
That's awesome.
But anyways, yeah, here's some random facts for you.
Yeah.
Can you talk a second? Sorry, I just want to ask real quick. Can you talk a second about like how fatherhood has affected you in either
Yeah, dude.
writing or how you feel things? I'm a father of a 2-year-old and
Whoa.
another one on the way, man. And
Amazing.
everything makes me cry now. Like I feel things so much deeper. How is that? Thanks, man. How has that affected you in how you've written and how you felt music?
Yeah, dude, it's affected everything. I mean, as you know, it's like it affects everything in life, in the best way, in crazy ways, and stretching ways. Congratulations, though, first of all, man, that's
Thanks,
amazing.
man.
Got one on the way and 2-year-old. So you are in just bro to bro. You are in like some of the busiest not busy. There's still busyness, but in different ways. But you're in the like the busy. It can feel really hectic and crazy because you're like literally, it feels like this little toddler for the first 4+ years of their life were just trying to kill themselves. You're just trying to keep them alive. You're like, why are you drawn to everything dangerous? And so it's yeah, you're in a really wild time in that, and it does continue to get better, and it does, you will have more peace in joy in that sometimes crazy situation at the stage that
Mhm.
you're in. It's beautiful in different ways. But um man, yeah, fatherhood changes everything, dude. I feel like it opened yeah, I mean, the way I remember trying to describe it to my wife is that I feel like this opened a door in my heart that I didn't even know existed. Like it's like there's so much love for this child that I thought I'm a pretty loving person. I love people. That's my heart. But this was something different, man. This was like this room in my house I didn't even know I had. That was just so full of love, and it opened when we had our first child. And so, um, it's man, it's poured into everything. I feel like in some ways, I mean, it's taught my wife and I more about life and more about ourselves than we could have ever imagined. Having children. And no, nowadays there's like a million like posts and therapists and people online and family stuff available everywhere you look. And but for the most part, where the minute you have a child, it's like no one really can prepare you for that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
all kind of just trying to figure it out the best we can as we go. And so just to encourage you, yeah, there isn't a whole bunch of parents out here doing it perfect, and it's like, no, we're all just doing our best, and we learn as we go. And hopefully some of the amazing things that I'm learning in my 40s about life and about how to cope with certain things and deal with big emotions and deal with certain things that I just never learned in my lifetime. The beauty of being a parent is that we get to pour that into our children, and they get to know the stuff that as we learn it, we're like, we wish we would have known. And so
Yeah, yeah.
it's a really cool thing. And to see. So musically, it's one thing I'll point out. It's been amazing. It didn't change things creatively. If anything, it changed my time. It
Mm.
changes time. It's like what it changed is like instead of this 24/7 creativity I used to live in, that's only like possible when you're either single or like don't have kids. And after children, it was like, all right, man, you got like 3 hours right now to go and get creative, and then you got to snap out of that because you got all this going on. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's more about changing hats. And yeah, I'd be lying if I said that was easy for me to figure out. It was a bit of a headbutt at first,
Mm.
stretch, a bit of a stretch. But yeah, once you find your flow as a couple and in this new season of life, um, you kind of learn to restructure your relationship and your life around this new season. It's the best thing, man. It's like I can't even ever imagine it not being the case in my life. So it becomes our ultimate, our highest calling, to be a
Yeah.
father and a husband. So long
Thank you
way to
for sharing.
say it's pretty
Thank
cool.
you for sharing that thought, Dad. I kind of lost connection for a minute, so I'm sorry. I apologize, but
No.
glad to see the two dads bonding. I'm glad to see two dads bonding. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's not down the road yet. I just got engaged this past summer, so I'm getting married next fall.
Dude,
But it's really
congratulations,
cool to
man.
see two dads bond. And I'm sorry if I cut it at the wrong time, and I don't know how it recorded. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry if there was any technology hiccups while watching this, and I do apologize now. Sorry about to interrupt you like that with like me
That's
Nah,
okay,
timing
man.
it
bro.
at
It's all
all.
good, man.
Perfect.
We just have a
Uh,
few extra minutes with you today. What is a message you hope for the next generation of Christian rock like artists slash bands coming carrying forward? Like, but do you have like any special messages, motivation, or anything you want to share that you learned from your personal life?
yeah, man. Um, so many things. How do you narrow it down? I mean, I guess the one thing I would say is like this this is gonna sound however it sounds to you if you're in your like early 20s or teens or whatever age you're at, if you younger, but like how you love people and how well you treat others around you. That's I mean, that's essentially being like God's hands and feet in your life, and kind of worshiping in what you do every day as a person. And that's having a relationship with God, and how you do that well, are two of the most important things in your entire life. And all of the things that as we get older will feel more complicated, or responsibilities, or just the more we learn, the more it's almost like internally, like the harder or the more confusing we try to make things. The more we learn, we kind of try to take this simple thing that God wants to have a relationship with us, and that's the most important thing, more than what we do for him, more than acts of service of any kind. It's or to just love people well, just to love one another, man, regardless of all the details, where we grew up, what color we are, what we believe, just to get back to like the basics of who God is in our life. If we can do that, man, if you can do that, that's what success looks like. And the rest of your life, will one step in front of the other, that'll unfold in a way that any amount of talent, uh, that will surpass what any amount of talent or any amount of money or any amount of who relationships, anything. That's the way to succeed at this, and to really like live out God's plan for your life.
And on the music creating side, if it isn't obvious, I'm a singer, songwriter, musician person too. And
Right on, man.
what advice would you give anyone who's coming into the industry? And I feel like you got a new chance at coming in fresh right now, so you're kind of experiencing it as you're going along too. What's some
Yeah, man.
advice that you would give as you've been going through this process of like, hey, these are the things you got to think about if you want to be a man of integrity, if you want to be a faithful musician,
Yeah.
creatively and performing and all that stuff, being good at your craft, and just do this with as best a balance as possible. What
Yeah.
would you say to a younger musician?
I would say I've always called these like the four P's, where it's I think that regardless of how technology changes, like from like vinyl to CDs to digital to blah blah blah, whatever, wherever that goes to, however we consume music and listen to it, all of those things can change around it. But I think the main thing always stays the main thing. And if to me the four P's is like practice, patience, prayer, and persistence. And if you can keep those four things in check, I think that's the most important thing. And they're on paper, they're going to be like, they can oftentimes feel like the least sexy things that you want to focus on of being a musician or being excited about music. But those are the most important things, I think, that you don't we kind of live in a culture where everybody wants everything and doesn't have to work for it. And that's
Hmm.
just not the way life works, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
fortunately, and when it comes to music, practice is going to be, it's just the way it is, man. What separates you from the other amazing people at the thing that you do? And so practice is so important. And patience is, whether we feel like we have it or not, music is going to test your patience. If you're going to try to pursue music for a living, it's going to test your patience on every level. You'll have the most, um what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to have the most sort of rejection, but there's more rejection in trying to pursue music probably than almost anything else in the world. And if you're blessed to do it, you'll have the most affirmation, and that actually can be the most dangerous part. So that's why what I said before is really important about your relationship with God and loving people well. And then just persistence, man. The consistency is trying, stay consistent, man. Stay consistent with what you believe you should do, and what you're good at and what you love about it. And that's the path right there, man. I think, my 2 cents.
awesome. Brendan, when's that first album coming out then, man?
Yo, sooner
I
than
can't
later.
write, perform. I can't write or perform.
You got
The
all
best
the
I can do is
tools you need
content
now, bro.
creation. The best I can do is content creation. I'll be a social media influencer or a social media designer before I sing. No offense to you guys. You guys do it beautifully. I would lose your guys' audience if you guys were doing a show together and now you're opening it. People would walk out like that. But
We wouldn't leave.
um,
We'd be there for you in the
No,
crowd.
we'd stay.
thank you. Thank you. At least someone would. I'd have practice writing songs, but I just don't perform instruments. I don't play like any instruments or anything.
Hey,
I'll
man,
just drop
that's
a
all right.
mixtape. Drop a
Different
mixtape.
things for different people, man.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Trevor. Adam, it was great to have you as
Thank you,
well.
bro.
And everyone, check out T Rock's album coming out soon. Like we don't have a release date, but it's gonna come out. Make sure to stream it, like it, share it. And Trevor, thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Brandon, Adam, my pleasure, man. Thanks, guys. Great to chat.
And everyone
Hey,
on the
man,
channel, we'll see you next time on the Christian Music Bros podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And Adam, what were you about to say? I'm sorry, I didn't know you were about to talk.
Oh, no worries. There's an after show comment.
Right on.
And
God bless y'all.
God bless you guys too. And we'll see you next time on the Christian Music Bros podcast, everyone. Take care.
Hey,